Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? All right, so on Friday, I sat in this chair, and we learned that the Saints were going to play their starters in the final preseason game against the Chargers. And I very adamantly said, if any starter gets hurt, I will open my show on a red-faced rant and I will eviscerate Dennis Allen, because there's just no point at all in playing your starters. None. And you know what happened? Saints play their starters, and the Chargers didn't, by the way. You didn't see Bosa out there. You didn't see Ramsey out there. You didn't see starters out there for the Chargers defense. Todd Graffinini told us that. Looked like the Chargers were probably playing their 2s and 3s to open the game. And you know what happened? The Saints starters went right down the field and scored on a bunch of dudes that are going to be unemployed in a week. And Saints Twitter went, oh, look at the offense. It's so good. Oh, my God. Jarvis Landry can catch. James can throw. Kamara can run. Oh, my God. We knew all that. We knew Jarvis can catch and Kamara can run and James can throw. And all. We knew it. We knew all that. You didn't learn anything about them playing against third-teamers from the Chargers who were all about to be fired. They're about to have to turn in their binder to the coach, to the strength coach. I mean, coach wants to see you in his office. And you lose Trevor Penning. After the game, Dennis Allen, I'm going to tell you why I'm not eviscerating Dennis Allen. I'll tell you why, and you're going to hear it in a second. This was after the game when Dennis Allen was asked for an injury update. I believe it was Tre'Quan who laid out and hurt his ribs or something like that, and Penning.
I think Tre'Quan, I believe, was a little bit of a shoulder. And Penning is a toe. They're both going to be evaluated. I don't have any updates on it.
He's got a toe. It was crazy, too, the Tre'Quan play where he got hurt was the play where, is this not Tre'Quan? Like, quintessential Tre'Quan Smith. I mean, this guy just tries to make me hate him more. Oh, actually, that throw was Andy Dalton's fault.
I was going to say, at least he laid out for it.
That's the point. Like, Dalton throws wide. Tre'Quan lays out for it. It's great effort. Great effort. Doesn't come up with the ball. Hurts himself, but manages to have the ball bounce off his hand 30 feet in the air, and Marquez Callaway's right there. By the way, screw the refs for blowing that dead. What are you doing?
Yes.
So Tre'Quan hurts his shoulder. After the game, Penning's a toe. We saw him get carted off. And it's worse. Ian Rappaport tweeted, if you haven't seen this, I'm sure by now you have. Saints first-round offensive tackle Trevor Penning suffered a torn ligament in his foot and will need surgery. He's out indefinitely. That sucks a lot. But the reason that I'm not going to eviscerate Dennis Allen right now is because Trevor Penning wasn't going to be your starting left tackle anyway. He was playing well. He was getting better. You'd love to have this time for Trevor Penning's development. And I believe Penning was going to play. He would have been your tackle eligible. You know, with the Will Clapp rule. Hey, tackle eligible. Like your extra blocker. He was probably your sixth lineman, meaning anybody goes down, aside from center, he's in. Right? And even if it, knock on wood, even if it was McCoy, you'd move Ruiz to center, and then Penning would probably go into guard. I mean, he's probably your next guy. But even on Friday, when we had that conversation, when Graf was here, I told him, I said, look, if something happened to Hurst at this point, I'm probably more comfortable with Andres Pete going to left tackle and Throckmorton going to guard. Pete's played left tackle in the NFL and done a good job, and Throckmorton played in 14 games for you last year with all the injuries you had and was a good player. So I'm not even sure that Penning would have been my next guy in right now. Terron Armstead as a rookie ended up starting week 16 of his rookie season, and then obviously, except for injury, never let go of that job again. But it took him a while. It took him the length of the season to get where he was comfortable playing left tackle. And I think only then he went in because of injury and sort of necessity. So It's very disappointing. And yes, I get it. Last year, you basically got nothing out of Peyton Turner, your first-round pick in his rookie season. We know the issues you've had with Marcus Davenport with his injuries throughout his career. It sucks. I mean, it really sucks to have a first-round pick that you're likely not going to have for this season. He also likely wasn't going to be your starter. So somebody was going to have to play left tackle. And this is why after the game, when Dennis Allen made that note, I think he quelled whatever fear when he was asked about an update on Hurst.
Well, yeah, look, I feel like James Hurst is going to be back sooner rather than later. So that's obviously a good thing. But really, I don't want to kind of get into the hypotheticals because I don't really know the extent of Trevor's injury right now, but I do know James is kind of in a pretty good spot right now.
That is why you should come out of this feeling okay. Because we know James Hurst, basically what Dennis Allen told you is James Hurst is good. He's just been battling the foot thing, so there's no reason to play our starting left tackle in this game when he's been battling an injury. So you basically held your starter out of the game anyway. So I'm good with that. Somebody was going to have to play left tackle. It was Penning. It sucks he got hurt. And you've been so thin behind him anyway, I don't even know who they would have run out there. I mean, unless it was just a guy that they just recently signed. So the bigger question now becomes, okay, Hurst is your starter, but what are you going to do behind Hurst now? If Penning was your number two, what options did you have? And I'm looking at the NFL, free agent tackles right now, and there are some really good players. The sort of conundrum you have is the guys available are starting caliber players. So you almost look at it and say, am I bringing in someone that can beat out James Hurst to be my starting left tackle, and Hurst reverts to being our backup? And there's a real possibility that could happen. Eric Fisher, former number 1 overall pick, is still a free agent right now. Eric Fisher doesn't have a home. So, you look at this right now, and it's fair to say, could you go make an offer to Eric Fisher? By the way, there's a report from Ed Werder that Eric Fisher has turned down 9 teams already. 9. So he's looking for a specific spot. I'm certain he wants to go to a winner, and he wants to start. So Fisher to the Saints may not be a great option unless they say, hey, you come in, you're our starting left tackle. You're over Hurst. Darrell Williams is another guy. Now, Darrell Williams is old, but the last 2 years, he's been the starter at left tackle for Buffalo. So you're talking about a veteran guy who has played a ton of football, has been a starting left tackle the last 2 years. He's 29, but it's another guy who's a free agent right now. Would Darrell Williams come to New Orleans to be a backup? Probably not. Then there's this idea of Alex Leatherwood floating out there. Leatherwood, of course, who went to Bama, was a high draft pick of the Raiders. It is assumed that he's going to be cut, but being reported now by Ian Rappaport and others that Leatherwood is a trade candidate. My problem is I'm not trading any asset for a backup offensive tackle at this point. I get it. You need depth, but you have to ask yourself, if you're the Saints right now, is it worth me giving? Is bringing in Alex Leatherwood such a dramatic improvement at left tackle over James Hurst that it's worth giving up an asset to bring him in, knowing I've got Hurst under contract and I got Penning returning at some point? I would argue, no, it's not worth giving up an asset to get one of these guys. But if you want to go call Eric Fisher or Darrell Williams, guys who have been starting left tackles in the NFL, and say, hey, do you want to come in here and push James Hurst to be our starting left tackle and play on a team that's probably going to be a playoff team? That's appealing for sure. And right now, look, there's no doubt with Tyron Smith's injury in Dallas, you got competition because Dallas is making all the same phone calls LSU or the LSU. Dallas is making all the same calls right now that the Saints are. But which is more appealing? It's easy as a Saints fan to say, well, of course the Saints are a better option. But you could look at Dallas and say, well, you got Dak Prescott. You got good weapons offensively. You're in a really winnable division. I mean, there are pros and cons to either. This comes down to Mickey Loomis selling one of these guys on it. But really the question is, are you sold on Alex Hurst as your starting left tackle? If the answer is yes, then you wait. Then it's easy. If you're sold on Alex Hurst as your starting left tackle, then you wait for roster cuts, and somebody is going to cut a good player. And you're going to be able to sign them and bring them onto your roster as depth, as a backup to Alex Hurst. That's easy. But if you think you can improve at left tackle by bringing in Eric Fisher, Darrell Williams, or Leatherwood, or any of these players, then you have a tougher sell. Then you have to go sell your spot. And you have to go sell your franchise right now to these guys because there's competition for it. It's just a matter. But again, the question is, and only Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen can answer this, how confident are you in Alex Hurst as your starting left tackle? Start there, and the rest falls into place. But the good news is there are options out there, and there will be even more as rosters are cut to 53. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.